We are about to call to order the Hialeah City Council meeting of June 14th at 7:03 PM. Do we have everyone? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Mr. Calvo is absent. Ms. Casamuñoz.
Present.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Present.
Ms. Perez is absent. Mr. Rodriguez.
Present.
Mr. Tunidor.
Present.
Mr. Zogby.
Present.
Mr. President, you have enough members to conduct business.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you lead us in the invocation, please?
Lord, we pray for your guidance and direction and benefit of our city. Amen.
Thank you. Councilman Tundidor, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please, sir?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may all be seated again. Thank you. Madam Clerk or Bridget, read the meeting guidelines. You're going to read it today?
Yes.
Thank you.
The following guidelines have been established by the City Council. All lobbyists must register with the city clerk. As a courtesy to others, please refrain from using cellular telephones or other similar electronic devices in the council chambers. A maximum of 3 speakers in favor and 3 speakers in opposition will be allowed to address the council on any one item. Each speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. No signs or placards in support of or in opposition to an item or speaker shall be permitted within the council chamber. Any person, whether participating via web platform, telephonic conferencing, or physical presence at City Hall, interested in making comments or posing questions on matters of public concern or on any item on the agenda may do so during the meeting. Members of the public may address the City Council on any one item pertaining to city business during the comments and question portion of the meeting. A member of the public is limited to 1 appearance before the City Council, and the speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. The public can view public meetings on the city's YouTube page. Members of the public may hear the meeting live through telephonic conferencing using any telephone or cellular phone service. A smart device or computer are not necessary to participate in the meeting if you join by phone. All persons participating via the web platform will be muted during the meeting until called upon to be heard. Participation through Zoom requires a computer or smart mobile device with a microphone and web camera. The participant may elect to participate in the meeting using audio only or appear through both audio and video. The video function of all participants appearing through video will be turned off until called upon to be heard.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item 6 is a presentation brought forth by the Law Department. Can I yield the floor to you, Madam Attorney? Is that through your department? Yes. I thought so too, but it changed. It changed. So we're missing one of the, okay.
We postponed it until the next
Okay,
meeting.
yeah, yeah.
George Piedra.
Thank you. While we're doing that, can I pause you a second? Can you acknowledge the presence of Councilman Calvo in tonight's meeting?
Yes, sir. Councilman Calvo is present.
Thank you. Go on, Madam Attorney. Thank you.
Yes. So we brought this item before you because, with the mayor, we have had a couple of meetings with the attorneys before you tonight, where they have discussed with us the possibility of exploring bringing a claim against certain pharmaceutical benefits administrators and pharmaceutical manufacturers, specifically to bring claims to or evaluate whether we have a viable claim against them for the increased costs of insulin that has been borne by our self-insurance plan. In other words, our general fund, our public dollars for the benefit of our members. The price increases have no financial or market justification. So the theory is that this is a price fixing scheme where the loss is borne by the ultimate payor of these costs. And so The reason why we brought these attorneys before us is because they would be representing the city as a plaintiff in this lawsuit if it ultimately is decided to be filed. It's an unusual position. We normally do not find ourselves as plaintiffs. We are usually defending our employees and ourselves against claims brought against us. And what's particular about this claim, if we proceed, is the engagement of the firm and the fact that we would be engaging the firm on a contingency fee basis. That's not unusual. And normally this council isn't involved in the payment of contract firm fees. But in a contingency fee arrangement, it could be a substantial amount of money that would require the council's approval. And so we thought it best as a policy decision to have your buy-in in the theory of recovery, in the cause of action. And if we were to proceed in the approval of the engagement of this firm, in their approval of their engagement terms, the contingency fee basis, so that when and if a settlement or a judgment comes to pass and we are required to pay these professionals for their services, you're not then presented with paying for fees that you would not have been made aware of. And that's the whole purpose of this presentation.
Colleagues, would you like to hear from the firm before anybody has any input, or is there anything you'd like, anybody? Okay, you agree? Thank you. Madam Attorney, go on then. Present them.
So
Thank
they've
you.
joined us and they've been unmuted, and it's your opportunity to speak to council. And when you're ready, just let us know when you're ready to share screen so we can view your presentation.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Attorney Bravo. Thank you to all the council members and to Mayor Bovo for allowing us this opportunity. We apologize we're not there in person. Mr. Woodlansky, my partner, his family has all been infected with COVID over the past couple of days. So we are, I'm doing this from my office and he's doing it from home where he's taking care of his family. I'm going to try to be as brief as possible because I know how valuable your time is. First of all, we're both partners at the law firm of Kozak, Tropin, and Throckmorton. Our firm is located in Coral Gables. We have about 30 lawyers. This type of litigation that we're talking about now is exactly what our firm is built for and what we've been doing for 40 years. Most recently, you've certainly heard we were lead counsel in the Champlain Towers South collapse litigation. We've been lead counsel in many large class action and multi-district litigation cases over the years, HMO cases, cases regarding force-placed insurance. And we also have represented many municipalities before, including the city of Miami, the city of Coral Gables, who we represent on an ongoing basis, and a few others. But this case is about insulin. So yes, if I can share my screen, I'll walk you through a little bit about what the background and what this situation is about, and then Ben will get more into the details of how this litigation is being structured and why we believe there's a very strong case. So I guess I can share. Okay. So over 34 million people in the United States have diabetes, and over 88 million people in the United States have prediabetes. Diabetes is the 7th leading cause of death in the country, despite the availability of all kinds of treatment. Diabetes is the underlying cause of approximately 275 American deaths per year. And due to the prevalence and severity of diabetes, insulin is an absolutely necessary and essential life-saving medication. So what happened? Since 2003, the cost of insulin has literally skyrocketed. Insulin today costs manufacturers less than $5 per dose to produce. When insulin was first released in the 1990s, it cost $20 a dose to the consumer. The same drugs, essentially the same drugs, now range between $300 to $700, and even higher, you will see, reflecting 1,000% increase to the public over the last decade. And this is long before the current inflation and situation that we see now. This has been going on when there effectively was no inflation. Consumers and payers, in your case, the city of Hialeah, bear the ultimate cost. So this is analog insulin. This is one of the products that we're talking about and looking at. And you can see from 1997 to 2018, again, before the current inflation situation that we have right now, the manner in which the price of the same drug was increased 1,500%. And the manufacturer in this case is Eli Lilly. Novolog, price increase over that same period. Well, we're looking at 2001 to 2018, a shorter period of time. It went up 631%. Lantus from 2001 to 2018 goes up 643%. So the question is why? Why this dramatic increase? Is it a new drug? No, it's the same exact drug that's been around for 30 years. There's no supply shortages. This is not a supply chain issue. There were no supply chain issues when these increases were taking place. There's no new innovation, and there's no manufacturing issues. What happened and what Ben is going to explain now is that the market has been superficially and artificially manipulated through a conspiracy between the insulin manufacturers and the pharmacy benefit managers. That is what created this massive drug price increase. And I'll turn it over to Ben now. Thank you.
Thank you, George. And thank you, council, for hearing us again. Apologies that we didn't come in person today. We wanted to. This case essentially involves two separate but related activities. First off, the manufacturers, and you'll see shortly there are three main manufacturers of insulin, have engaged in a lockstep anti-competitive price fixing scheme for years. They all move the price of insulin more or less at the same time and in the same amount, and have done so for about 20 years consistently. Relatedly, a group of entities, companies that most people don't even know exist, called pharmacy benefit managers, have demanded what they call rebates, but are in reality kickbacks from the drug manufacturers for preferred formulary placement. Next slide, please. What is formulary placement? Well, to understand what that is, you have to understand a little bit about what the pharmacy benefit manager is. The pharmacy benefit manager is essentially a middleman between the pharmaceutical companies, the pharmacies and insurance companies, and ultimate payers like the city of Hialeah, who buy drugs and dispense them to individuals who need them. Their role is to identify where, on essentially a ranked basis, certain drugs fall for the approvals by health plans, by insurance companies. And as such, the higher on the list, the better placement that they get, these drugs, the better it is for the manufacturer. Because if they're ranked higher, they can charge them more, and the insurance companies, or in this case, the ultimate payer, self-funded plan like Hialeah, they have to pay. So the pharmacy benefit managers are a middleman, and they are accepting rebates or kickbacks from the pharmaceutical companies to rank insulin drugs higher than they would be. As you can see here, this is essentially, the pharmacy benefit manager in the middle is the real bad actor here. The drug manufacturers are absolutely bad actors, for sure. And as we've seen in the last 5-10 years, a lot of drug manufacturers, pharmaceutical companies, pharmacy benefit managers, and insurance companies are all turning into one entity. They're all combining. But what you have is you have the drug manufacturer who creates the drug, the pharmacy benefit manager who places it and gets rebates from the drug manufacturer, pharmacy, insurance company. But ultimately, the only entity, the only group of people here who really suffer are the payers, the end payers and the consumers, because they're paying a lot more for the drugs that they should be paid for. They're paying a lot more in rebates and pricing for their insurance company, higher fees to their insurance companies. And if they are uninsured, they have to pay out of pocket. And if they're uninsured, obviously, municipalities, hospitals, higher taxes for the general public. Next slide. So I mentioned 3 main manufacturers. Those 3 are Novo Nordisk, Eli Lilly, and Sanofi. And those track with the 3 slides we saw earlier of the 3 main drugs that they control. 99% of the insulin market and 96% by volume. They are, for all intents and purposes, a triopoly of insulin production in the United States. The pharmacy benefit managers on the left there are massive companies, massive. All 3 of those are Fortune, I think they're all Fortune 50 companies. And they control those 3, almost 90% of the pharmacy benefit market in the United States. Hialeah has Optum RX, one of the 3 main pharmacy benefit companies. And that is who is responsible for placing the drugs on Hialeah's self-funded plan. Next slide. So I mentioned earlier that this fraudulent pricing that just drives the price up for everybody has a huge impact. It's pretty straightforward, obviously, and I'm sure no one in here needs to understand how the end payer paying more for these necessary life-saving drugs can have a devastating impact. But obviously it does. And it has a direct impact on the dollars and cents and the bottom line of the city of Hialeah or any other self-funded plan, not just municipalities. Unlike the opioids case that was a public nuisance idea, this is not a public nuisance idea. There probably is a public nuisance component, but this is really about Hialeah and every other self-funded plan in the United States paying more for a drug because the drugs are fraudulently priced higher than they should be. A lot of municipalities also have city purchases. They have health plans, they have jails, they have prisons. Hialeah obviously doesn't run any prisons, but they have an extensive health plan for the employees, and they do, as you'll see shortly, pay a lot of money for diabetes drugs. So Florida has almost 13% of the population, more than 13% of the population with diabetes, pretty substantial amount. Annual cost of treating diabetes in Florida, over $24 billion. 9% approximately in Miami-Dade has diabetes. Doesn't include pre-diabetes or have diabetes and doesn't know it, but it's still a substantial number. Next slide. Hialeah has almost 19%, much higher than either the state or national average. As a result, Hialeah is disproportionately impacted by this price fixing scheme. And as you'll see, diabetes is the #1 cost to the plan in the city. This is yearly. And now that's not just drugs, a lot of drugs, but it's also treatments. But you can see almost over $450,000 for diabetes treatment. And if you look on the top drugs by plan paid, you've got $60,000 for one drug, just one, Humalog. This is a substantial amount of the money that Hialeah spends on its self-funded plan. As you can see here again, there are a number of different drugs that Hialeah is paying for. And again, all of the insulin drugs, because there are other non-insulin treatments available, but all of the insulin drugs that Hialeah pays for are part of this scheme, this fraudulent pricing scheme. So why does it make sense to bring suit? Well, there are really two reasons. The first is Hialeah is losing money and has been losing money for decades because these companies have disproportionately jacked up the prices. So looking back, there's a lot of money that you spent that you should get back. You're entitled to getting back. Also, going forward, the cost of insulin isn't going to go down unless someone stops it from rising further. And this lawsuit and other lawsuits like it are the best way to do that. Second, and perhaps as important, if not more important, diabetes is a massive public health issue. It's a politically charged issue right now, and it's very important, not just from a political and a dollars and cents side, but also from a moral position, that Hialeah, that has almost 20% of its residents impacted by diabetes, takes a stand against the exorbitant price of insulin that has a devastating impact and a devastating effect, not just in Hialeah, but particularly in Hialeah, around the country. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm certainly happy to answer any questions that you have about the case. Obviously, I would like to try to avoid giving away our legal strategy in a public forum, but happy to do my best to answer any questions I can.
Colleagues?
Will of the council, questions?
How about
Attorney?
I
Sir,
have a
yes,
quick
you are
question.
recognized.
Ben, I don't think. Hey Ben, how you doing? It's Jesus. I just have a question. Is this something only that the city of Hialeah is bringing forward, or are there other municipalities that are following suit?
It's a great question. It's nice to meet you, council member. There are a lot of suits that are already filed. There are going to be more. We are in conversations with many municipalities, not just in Florida, but around the country. This is not going to be as big as insulin. The insulin case, opioids that a lot of people are familiar with in Cleveland, but it is going to be a big case. And there are going to be a lot of cities, counties, states filing lawsuits. There will also probably be a lot of large companies that have self-funded plans themselves. There will probably be a lot of universities that have self-funded plans. So I expect that there will be a lot of these lawsuits filed in the coming months.
Okay. I mean, rebates are something that's very common, right? I believe the state of Florida also received rebates for drugs on their formulary. When we talk about the insulin, are there different classifications on insulin, formula, brand name versus generic?
So there's not a lot of generic play, and that's part of the problem. The three main manufacturers have more or less prevented generic drugs from reaching the market.
Okay. So on the Optum formulary, are there any generic insulin?
I don't believe there are, no.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Through the chair.
Councilman Calvo?
No, I was just doing a little bit of research. It looks like the city of Miami has filed a similar lawsuit. That's correct.
It is, yes.
Yeah. So it looks like they were able to survive the motion to dismiss back in January. But they're represented by Mansfield, Bronstein and Stone. I don't know why. Maybe if we can have a conversation with them and loop them in, I guess, into this and see where they are on that suit, since it's our sister city.
I'm happy to update you on that suit if you'd like.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Certainly.
I'm not sure the public forum, like you said, would be appropriate for that, but
well, the updates are absolutely public record. The case, as you said, it survived motion to dismiss. They engaged in some degree of settlement discussions, and at the beginning of May, the case was dismissed, both sides stipulating without each side bearing their fees, which is normal lawyer talk for probably a settlement was reached, probably a confidential settlement was reached. So it's hard to say what the results of that were. Beyond that, I think probably the non-public forum discussions are better.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's super interesting, and I think it does have a lot of potential. I just, I wouldn't want to be like locked into a firm without exploring other options. I think that's fair.
Are you done, sir?
I'm done, yeah.
Before I call on Madam Casalmundo, did you want to weigh in, Mayor? I see.
No,
Okay,
no, I think
okay.
it's important to get the council input here.
The question I have
Madam.
is, considering this is happening with the insulin, has this happened with any drugs in the last 20 to 30 years that it has such a large rise in such a short time?
I'm sorry, I had a hard time hearing the beginning of your question, ma'am.
I'm sorry. I wanted to know, has this happened with any other drugs in the last 20 or 30 years that it had climbed so much in the cost that it would cause lawsuits for the drug manufacturers, I guess?
So there are instances where there have been very steep rises. The most famous one is the EpiPen. The cost of an EpiPen went up, I mean, thousands, I think 10,000% in the course of about a year. Also not tied to any market forces, any innovation, anything like that. And that did result in some lawsuits. And I should say, price fixing more broadly happens all the time in the pharmaceutical industry. Evergreening patents, buying, paying for generics to stay on the shelf is a regular practice in the pharmaceutical industry and is the subject of a lot of lawsuits around the country.
And with the EpiPen, after the lawsuits, did the price go down? Was it controlled? What happened with that?
So I think the EpiPen was a little bit of a unique circumstance. I believe that was connected with Mr. Martin Shkreli, who is now in jail for certain things. That was a bit of an outlier.
Okay.
But the answer to your question more broadly, ma'am, yes, these lawsuits have an actual and intended effect of lowering drug prices for the end purchaser.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm sorry, through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Councilman, was the example with the city of Miami, is Miami suing the PBM or the manufacturer?
I don't know if you want my.
No, because
I don't know.
You have it there. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, they're basically. I think my understanding is they filed a very similar lawsuit. They did it over there, and it looks like in January they were able to kind of pass the first hurdle, right, to establishing a case. But I mean, this is something that'll take years and years. We'll probably be long gone.
Yeah. And Ben, maybe I'm just trying to wrap my head around this, and I understand that it's an increase. It's been a steady increase for many years now for insulin drugs, but a PBM is manages, right, the pharmacy benefit for a plan, and so that service that they provide the plan comes with a cost. Now, now if we're arguing that the cost of a specific drug has gone way too high, then I don't know. I think maybe that's an issue that you put up or you deal with the manufacturer. The PBM at the end of the day is a broker, how you said, right? And they charge a fee for that exposure to the network that it has of members. But I'm trying to understand exactly what is the issue, Ben? Can you just is it because the drug is too high, or is it that the PBM is charging a fee way too high?
So I think the answer is both, Councilman. First, the drug price is way too high, right? But the problem is who pays that price, right? Ultimately, the individual who pays, the end purchaser, the end payer is the one that pays the price, right? Most of the time, the end payer is an insurance company. And many insurance companies, right? Many insurance companies they also own PBMs. They own pharmacies. There's the sort of interplay throughout the market of all of these entities. So really, the only people who suffer from extraordinarily high prices are end payers, self-funded plans, or uninsured individuals. What I guess you would say the sort of guard against that is the pharmacy benefit manager. Pharmacy benefit managers are supposed to be playing the prices against each other, right? If two drugs, as you say, they're a broker, their job is ostensibly to find the best price for their client, in this case, the city. If there are three drugs that all do exactly the same thing, why is it that all three drugs are priced at exactly the same price point? Why is the broker not able to get one of those prices lower? Well, the reason is they have no incentive to do so, and they're receiving these kickbacks from all three entities at the same rate.
Ben, and for MAC pricing, how does MAC pricing come into play with this plan that we have?
I need to get a little bit more into detail of the plan, which is information that I think I wouldn't be able to give you that until I've dug my fingers into the plan.
Right. So I asked about generic, right? Because usually MAC pricing, what it does is it makes generic drugs more affordable, right? Making sure that everyone could afford these generic drugs. So that's why I asked. Do we have maybe Lorena? Can we get a list of the different classifications of insulin that we have in our formulary, just to make sure that we have generics or not? Because again, I mean, if it's an issue that someone's pushing, maybe a provider's pushing the brand name versus a generic, I think that's a different conversation. I just want to be able to better understand the issue here, Ben.
No, understood, sir. And I do think it's important to note that I don't believe there are generics on the market for that reason.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Yeah, through the chair.
Yes, sir.
I'm very familiar with the insulin pricing in my private sector where I work, and no, they're very limited. That's a fact because we also bear the cost where I work. Just a comment.
It's on a contingency basis, right? So we don't pay until we collect, right? As if they advance on the case. I'm seeing that there are probably millions of plaintiffs. There's going to be a huge civil action, national lawsuit, like Councilman Cabo said. It could take years, but it's worth chasing.
Motion.
Worth chasing. Motion. I have a motion. We need to approve to move on with this firm. Is that what we're doing here?
That's the request. The request.
By vote.
Authorize the mayor to negotiate an
Very good.
agreement, which in essence
Mhm.
is what has been provided to you. I have not had the opportunity to discuss the terms of the engagement in detail with the mayor
Mhm.
after our conversation with the attorneys. But it's to bring this to your
Mhm.
awareness and understand that this entails significant costs that are going to be borne by the firm. You know,
Mhm.
the best case scenario is if you will experience a recovery, and from the funds recovered or benefits recovered, you are agreeing
Mhm.
to reimburse the firm for its expenses and pay its
Understood.
That's for the recovery, correct?
only based on.
Yes, ma'am.
only based upon-
So we have a motion from Councilman Rodriguez.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
So if they lose, we don't pay anything out of pocket, or we still pay? Yeah. Okay. And you said you wanted to explore.
I think it's through the chair. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
I think it's no. I think it has great potential. I think we should definitely do something in this realm. I'm just my only point was let's explore all our options, right? Instead of being tied up to one firm specifically. By the way, this is a firm with great reputation. I think it would do an excellent job. But I would just want to see what are our options.
Madam, absolutely, sir. Madam Attorney, so if we vote to continue this process to discuss, explore with this law firm, we're not signing up with them automatically, right?
Well, that was the ask. But the alternative would be that you authorize the mayor
Mhm.
to engage a firm and report back to the council the selection of the firm and the.
Understood. Yeah. So we have a second shot at approving if we don't, yeah, right? it'll come back to us as a board,
Administrator.
the
No, I
final
think-
decision on the, I'm just saying for my colleagues who may want to explore. Go ahead.
I think that you have, the mayor has brought this from forward.
Okay.
If you're interested in having other conversations with other firms representing other plaintiffs in these types of claims, then, you can authorize the mayor to have those conversations and report back on his selection or his recommendation. Report back on his recommendation and bring forward that engagement agreement.
So far, we have one motion to go on with what appears to be this law firm that has been presented to us. Other than any comments, do I have a second? Ma'am? Yes, you're recognized.
So I've had conversations with this firm. They approached me and made me aware of this situation. Obviously, at that point, I turned them over to Lorena to go ahead and engage in discussions. I'm not really interested in going through a whole vetting process of different law firms because we could be doing this for months and months and months, okay? Their reputation, as Councilman Cabo stated, is there. They do good work. And I, to be perfectly honest with you, this is something that could take a long time to settle, probably long after I'm gone, perhaps. And I'm really, I got a lot of other things to take care of instead of just engaging. And so we've got a good reputable law firm in front of us. There is as these all work, and it's pretty all standard across the board. And we would end up having to negotiate nickel and dimes. And I really don't want to get into this kind of negotiation. What you have in front of you, I think, is reasonable. Nothing comes out of our pocket unless there's money and money that they would find. And if there's no money, then they've invested a lot of time, and I'm sure they're going to get a lot of valuable knowledge, and it won't be anything off of our back.
Thank you. Oh, without a second.
Second, we have a second from
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilwoman Casals Munoz. Please call the roll.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zagvi?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
No.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for your
Thank you.
presentation.
Thank you very much. We look forward to working with
See
you.
you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
7, comments and questions from the audience online. Anybody from the dais? Comments and questions. Do we have anybody who has sent us anything by web? Okay, so we have 8, announcement of amendments, corrections to the agenda, please.
The expenditure amount of consent item L has been amended from $16,800 to $24,300. A declaration of restrictions has been added to item PZ5 as additional backup documentation. And consent items U and V and administrative item 10E have been added to the agenda.
Thank you. Item 9 is the consent agenda. Would anyone in the dais want to pull any of the items in the consent agenda?
Through the chair.
Sir.
Item S.
Item S by Councilman Tundidor. S as in Sam?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Tundi. Anything else, sir?
No, that'll be all.
Anyone else?
Item B.
Item B by Councilwoman Casals Munoz. B as in boy. Very
Correct.
good. Anyone else? Otherwise, pleasure of the council on a motion for the remaining consent agenda.
Motion.
Motion from Councilwoman Garcia Rovez.
I'm sorry, before a second, can we
Ma'am,
call
go
L,
ahead,
please?
yes.
L?
L. L by Councilwoman L as in Lima. I still remember the phonetic alphabet. Okay.
Good job.
Vivian? Okay. I also have to open this from anybody in the audience or anybody online. It is open for anybody to pull. Having none. Anyone else? We have a motion from Councilwoman Garcia Rovez. Do I have a second for the remaining consent agenda? Second from Councilman Rodriguez. Please call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Motion carries. The consent agenda has passed except items B, L, and S.
Thank you. Can you please read item B into the record?
Request from Party King Miami Incorporated located at 3575 West 10th Avenue, apartment 207, Hialeah, Florida, 33012, for permission to install a seasonal tent for the sale of sparklers with setup taking place on Friday, June 24th, 2022, and takedown on Tuesday, July 5th, 2022, and with sales scheduled to take place from Monday, June 27th, 2022 through Monday, July 4th, 2022, with the tent to be located at 741 East 9th Street, Hialeah, Florida, 33010. Property zone C2, liberal retail commercial, subject to the requirements of the city's fire department and risk management department.
Councilman Casals Munoz, you have our attention, madam.
I just wanted to make sure that before we do anything with fireworks throughout the city, that they had already gone through the process of going to the departments, and it's okay with the fire department, and it's okay with police, and want to make sure that everything is kosher when we are looking into renting these tents for fireworks. So
By
do
the
we
time it
know
gets
that?
to us, it is, right?
Yes,
It
that
should
is
be,
correct,
yes.
sir.
Certainly hope
Very
so.
good.
Okay,
And the
okay.
recommendations are
Thank you.
attached on the item for both risk, police, and fire.
I was looking for our chief. I hope he didn't pass out again. Okay.
Are
Did I-
you
Did I
kidding
just
me?
violate HIPAA?
Are you
Okay,
kidding me?
Never mind.
Motion to approve.
Motion from Councilwoman Casals Munoz. Do we have a second on item B of the consent agenda?
Second.
Second from Councilwoman Garcia Robles. Please call the roll.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you.
Good,
Can-
Chief.
Where is he? Is he? Oh, show us proof of life, sir. Okay. Item L of the consent agenda. Can you please read into the record, Madam Clerk?
Proposed resolution approving a service agreement between the City of Hialeah and J&M Barrow School Bus Service Incorporated to provide bus transportation services for the City of Hialeah's Education and Community Services Department summer camp
Yes.
programs for a term commencing on June 13, 2022, and ending on July 28, 2022, in an amount not to exceed $24,300, and authorizing the mayor or his designee and the city clerk as attesting witness on behalf of the city to execute the service agreement attached hereto in substantial form and made a part hereof as Exhibit 1, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Madam Councilwoman Casal Munoz, you have our attention.
Thank you. I'm very sorry, Sharon. I pulled the item thinking that it was for a special population of the buses, and that's what I was going to ask. And then I read it said summer camp, so I'm sorry about that. Motion to approve.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Casals Munoz,
Second.
second from Councilwoman Garcia Robles. Please call the roll.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you read item S as in Sam into the record?
Proposed resolution retroactively authorizing the use of Community Development Block Grant Program funds in an amount not to exceed $20,000 for the provision of micro enterprise business assistance services to previously approved businesses within the city, authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute any and all necessary agreements in furtherance of the project and providing for an effective date.
Councilman Tundido, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, sir. Lorena, I just want to understand what, how long ago did we pay this out? Okay. Did we pay them less? We paid them less or we paid them more? Or we paid them more? Okay. Okay, so are we getting money back? Is that what it is?
No, we are correcting, we are correcting our expenditure with respect to what we actually awarded. To these
That is correct. Maria Ruiz, I'm interim director. When we,
Business address for the record, ma'am. Thank you. Your business address.
501 Palm Grove.
Thank you for
yeah,
the
you're
record.
going to be charging me rent soon. At the time that the item was brought before council, there was a scrivener's error. And instead of a 6, we put in a 4. But when we submitted the information to HUD, we clearly told them it would be $60,000. So this allows us to retroactively correct the public record, showing that that amount was actually approved.
All right, thank you.
You're
Appreciate it. Motion.
We have a motion for item S by Councilman Tundidor. Second from Councilwoman Garcia Rovez. Please call the roll.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Rovez?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. I believe this moves us on to item 10, administrative items. Madam Clerk, can you read 10A into the record?
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending City of Hialeah Ordinance Number 2022-20, adopted on March 22nd, 2022, to correct the last date that the Miami-Dade County Supervisor of Elections will register voters for the City of Hialeah special primary election of November 8th, 2022.
Pleasure of the council
Motion
on
to
item
approve.
10A. This is a second reading. Thank you for reminding me. Open for public discussion. Having none, we have a motion by Councilwoman Casals Munoz.
Second.
Second from Councilwoman Garcia Rovez. Please call the roll. Thank you.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Rovez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. Can you read administrative item 10B into the record, please?
First reading of proposed ordinance accepting the dedication of a portion of West 80th Street consisting of 35 feet in width on the south and north, 294.72 feet in length, and a 25-foot radius on the north end, consisting of 10,462 square feet, more or less, to the City of Hialeah for right-of-way purposes from U.S. Holdings Incorporated, a Florida corporation pursuant to the right-of-way deed attached hereto and made a part hereof as Exhibit 1, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Pleasure of the council for, it's on first reading, not open for public discussion. Item 10B, pleasure of the council.
Motion.
Motion from Councilwoman Casals Munoz.
Second.
Second from Councilwoman Garcia Rovez. Please call the roll.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Rovez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for June 28th, 2022.
Madam Clerk, please read 10C into the record.
First reading of proposed ordinance amending the Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Chapter 50, entitled Housing, Article 3, Housing Assistance Program, Division 2, Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, Section 1550-87, Membership Terms, Quorum, and Voting Requirements, adding elected officials of the City of Hialeah as one of the categories from which a representative may be selected to form the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Item 10C of administrative items is on first reading, not open for public discussion. So pleasure of the council.
Through the chair.
Madam, you are recognized.
Can we get a little bit of more information on it, please?
Which was consistent with the current category of membership in your local housing advisory committee. And the most recent amendment to the statute was the mandatory inclusion of an elected official on the committee. So your resolution was consistent with the statute.
Okay.
And this is making the committee within our code consistent.
Okay. Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Casals Munoz.
Second.
Second from Councilwoman Garcia Rovez on item 10C. Please call the roll.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Rovez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for June 28th, 2022.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please read 10D into the record.
Public hearing to receive the public's comments regarding the city proposing to provide citywide ridership service to the public through freebie within the city limits by joining the freebie East and freebie West routes to provide better commute for the residents.
Thank you. Mayor, would you like to weigh in or?
Well, I think the whole idea is to maybe get some public comments on this. We talked a lot about this, I think, at the last meeting. And, freebie has taken off in the city of Hialeah. We see a lot of usage. Currently, the way we were working it is that you could only go from one end of the city to a point in the middle and then have to get off and then call for another freebie to continue into the west. This, I think, creates a better experience and obviously kind of unites all tracks now as far as freebie is concerned. But like I said, I think the idea is hopefully maybe get some input from the residents if there's any, and then obviously we encourage your support on the item.
Any comments from the dais? Thank you, Mayor. Any comments from the dais or from the public hearing? I'll entertain both.
Through the chair.
Yes, ma'am,
I
you're
think-
recognized.
I think it's a great idea that we're going east and west, and not only north and south, because I mean that you're limiting the usage, but especially that was one of the requirement or one of the suggestions when we went around through the housing buildings, that they did request more use of the freebie, and I think this is great.
I think
With
we're
that-
not going to get any naysayers, right?
I
That's what you're
agree.
trying to say.
I agree.
yeah. Mhm. Any other public comment before we require, does this require a vote to move on? Okay. Any other comments from the dais or from the public?
Motion.
Motion from Councilwoman Casal Munoz. Also, we have a second from Councilman Rodriguez. Please call the roll.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
More freebie. Excellent. 10E, please read 10E into the record, Madam Clerk.
Proposed resolution repealing and rescinding Hialeah Resolution Number 2022-051 that authorized Roman Garcia Jr. to submit grant applications on behalf of the city of Hialeah and authorizing the mayor or his designee, Maria Ruiz, to submit grant applications on behalf of the city of Hialeah, Florida, subject to ratification by city council upon grant approval and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mayor?
Members, you had the chance to briefly meet Maria. She went back. Maria's been working nonstop, literally, in our grants office because I can't say publicly what grants was. I will tell you that under mutual agreement, Roman has requested and has been granted the ability to go back to IT, where he is a valuable member of the Hialeah family, and Maria is helping us rectify a ship that, quite honestly, made the Titanic look like a walk in the park. And I'm hoping through other moves that we're going to make is that we'll rectify this situation with grants. As many of you know, it's an integral part of what we do.
Yeah.
And we're not going to have her a long time. She's going to be here with us on a short period of time. And hopefully, when she leaves, this will be pointed in the right direction. So the request is that you grant her this ability to act as acting grant supervisor, for lack of a better term.
Does this
Motion.
require 5 votes, Madam Attorney? Supermajority, just a majority. If there are no comments from the dais, we have a motion, but any comments? Anybody from the dais? We have a motion from Councilwoman Casals Munoz.
Second.
We have a second from Councilwoman Garcia Robes. Please call the roll.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you, members.
Through the
Thank
chair.
you, Mayor. Sir?
Yeah, just a comment.
Yes.
I was lucky enough to spend some time with her, about an hour, council. Very knowledgeable. Wow. So I advise everybody to spend some time with her. Very hardworking woman with a lot of experience.
Lucky to have
So
her.
we're very blessed right now to have her.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yes. Thank you, sir. And thank you for bringing her, Mayor. Board appointments, 11A, please.
Proposed resolution appointing Celine Hutchins to the Youth Advisory Board of the City of Hialeah for a 2-year term ending on June 15, 2024.
Councilman Tundidor. Sir.
Yes, Selena, she was actually an EPI participant, very involved in the city, very, very intelligent, and she wanted to be part of this board. So, hope I have your support. She's not here.
Oh.
Motion.
Motion from Councilman Tundidor, second from Councilman Rodriguez. Please call the roll.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Item 11B. Thank you.
Proposed resolution appointing Jasmine Martinez to the Youth Advisory Board of the City of Hialeah for a 2-year term ending on June 15, 2024.
Okay, Councilman Zogby's appointee. She's a winner, a superstar in the making. Who can argue that? Mom, you're doing a great job. Thank you. Miss Hialeah. She's a great asset. If I can have your support. Motion from Councilwoman Casals Munoz.
Wow.
Second
Wow.
from
Thank you
Councilwoman
for
Garcia Robles. I knew it. Call the roll, please. Thank you so much, Jasmine. Thank you. Thank you, Mom.
Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Congratulations.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
A great night. You don't have to subject yourself to any more suffering. Unfinished business. Thank you again. Unfinished business 12.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to follow up on, I think it was 2 meetings ago, potentially. We were talking about how the CRA folks from West Palm Beach were interested in coming to the city and speaking to the council and being available for questions. They got back to me with a date, so they're available on July 12th. If that works for the majority, I mean, it's a council meeting that day. So my idea would be to, I believe so. The
I don't
second
know.
Tuesday, no?
We don't know yet, right?
Well,
Do we know?
you can initiate it and we can place it on the agenda and the council can vote. We can do that next meeting.
As
We
far-
may
okay.
recess for 1 month during the year.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Can I
I
come
gave
with
them
you?
several dates. So unfortunately, that's the one that works for them.
I know what you're saying, and God, we're so grateful to them and grateful you for arranging, but we'd hate to give them a date and then in 2 weeks have to cancel on them because we're not sure what we're going to do in July yet, right? We're not, right? No? We're going to be on break. So what do you think, Councilman? Do you think we should readdress this later? August or
Well,
September,
if you
maybe?
want to push it to August,
Because it's going to be like, if we know we're not going to meet, if we're like 99% sure, yeah,
Okay.
let's not make them
that's
spin
fine.
their wheels.
I'll coordinate with them and I'll give them
Okay.
August and
Come back
potentially
with a
even
date
September
with us?
dates,
Thank
yeah.
you, sir.
And then the other point was, Mayor, I had brought this up to you a couple weeks ago. I guess to keep some movement on the ball rolling on this issue of water and sewer, the idea to have a survey of our residents, effectively asking them a series of questions, very short, condensed, but the idea being to get, I guess, a pulse on what the majority of residents in Hialeah feel are the issues affecting them in terms of water and sewer, whether it's more of a price thing, whether it's more of the customer service aspect, kind of ranking these things from 1 through 10. I wanted to get feedback from the council members, from the mayor, of course, to see if we can put something like this together in time so that we have the data for budget season. I want to make sure that as we're making these decisions, we're sort of armed with the information. I think a lot of the stuff that we talk about when it comes to water and sewer is very anecdotal. It's, hey, I got a certain amount of phone calls this week, or I heard this from this person, but I want to make sure that we're diligent and proactive in reaching out to as many residents that have open water accounts in our city and seeing what they say is affecting them. So then that way we can put the money and all our efforts to focus on that. And I think it'll set a good baseline so that 6 months from now, a year from now, once we do make some changes, we're able to determine, hey, are we moving in the right direction? Did we turn from 2s and 3s that we were getting in this category to, 7s and 8s? The idea from this came from, number one, it's going to be, I think, relatively affordable, depending on how it's done, whether it's a mail type of survey in part of your water bill, or for whether it's like a phone call or something like that we do proactively. And secondly, if you look at any other private industry, and even, some of the big telecommunication companies, everybody always surveys you. And so that is, I think, something that government, it would be a positive thing for government to start doing, because it holds us, I think, accountable to our residents. So that was my idea. Again, I wanted some feedback, and hopefully we can do this with enough time. I know the clock is ticking for budget season.
Thank you. You done, sir? Mayor? Mhm.
We through our chief of staff have already engaged the water department with that exact conversation. What I'd like to do is allow them to have like a first draft of what that survey would look like.
Yeah, of
and
course.
Bring it to the council. Surveys work when they're condensed as far as the nature of the
Exactly.
questions, and we kind of drive to get to where we want to understand. Because if you could leave it open-ended, it could go in a lot of different directions,
Sure.
right? So we're working on it. Let us bring un borrador, a draft, to the council. But it is my intent to do a survey and get it out to the community, and then we could test a couple of different issues. Because there are some things that we've been contemplating as far as billing is concerned, customer service is concerned. Obviously there are issues related to the opportunity, if it exists, to do some meter bifurcation so that we could measure intake of water and sewer separately. Because as we know, that there's a big number there, and we charge folks for watering their lawns. So there's a lot of ideas that could come out of a survey, but I'd like to do it that way first, is to bring you something to look at, then we can massage it. But I would concur, this is something that needs to go out before we need the data back, and we've got some ideas how to entice people to participate in it, because sometimes, they get something in the mail that costs.
Knowing that we might do July off, do you think we'll be able to have that for the next meeting? Because I don't want to push it all the way to August, and then we're going to be really tight on time.
For the budget, you mean?
Try.
Right, for the budget.
I'll try to have it.
Okay.
Yes, we'll try.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Now, guys, I don't have to bring it to the council here. You could all individually get it.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
look at it.
Mhm.
I don't think we need to make the survey to the residents a votable item. So let's just get your input so that we can go ahead and make sure that some of the key points are addressed.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Colleagues, anybody want? No?
I
Okay,
think
we're
if we
good.
could
I
have
agree.
something at least to look at, so we can have a conversation amongst each other in the dais. And then you're right, the final draft, everybody could make their own opinion and speak with you independently.
Excellent. Any other unfinished or new business? We're still in unfinished business. Anything else? New business. Have a new business? Almost, Mayor. Have a good night, Mayor. Thank you. 14, land use.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending the future land use map from low-density residential to transit-oriented development district, property located at 922 East 26th Street, Hialeah, Florida, zoned R1 One Family District, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
LU1 is on second reading, open for public discussion. Having none, it is open
Motion.
for our discussion. We have a motion from Councilwoman Casals Munoz. We have a second from Councilman Calvo. Please call the roll on LU1.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz.
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. We're moving on to our zoning section. Can you please swear in all those who will be making any statements?
Will all those persons who will be testifying on an item, please stand and raise your right hand.
Las personas que quisieran prestar sus opiniones delante de esta junta, por favor pónganse de pie y alce la mano derecha.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Usted jura o afirma que el testimonio que va a dar será la verdad, toda la verdad y únicamente la verdad y que Dios sea su testigo. Por favor, diga que sí si la respuesta es afirmativa.
Let the record reflect that all have responded in the affirmative.
En el archivo público constará que todos han respondido afirmativamente.
Thank you. That brings us to PZ1. Can you please read it into the record, Madam Clerk?
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance granting a special use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-161, to allow an adult daycare and adult day training and care center for young people with disabilities ancillary to an existing church and school. Property located at 5800 Palm Avenue, Hialeah, zoned R1, one family district. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. PZ1 is on second hearing, open for public discussion. Ma'am, are you representing the church? Come on up. And I'm going to need your name, your address, and you've got 3 minutes to dazzle us. Thank you, ma'am. Go ahead. Name and address.
My name is Mayra Sanabria, 20110 Northwest 59 Court, Hialeah 33015.
Go on.
And I'm the director of the program, the Daycare. And I provided the city and the zoning with all the opinion of title and what they requested. And we are requesting to proceed to have the parking lot and all the changes that it was proposed.
Thank you, Ms. Sanabria. Does anybody have any questions for Madam Storch or any comments from the pleasure of the council?
I have a motion.
You have a motion to approve. PZ1, we have a motion from Councilman Rodriguez. Do we have a second for PZ1? Or any before we move on, or any comments
Through the chair.
from that? Ma'am?
I
You're welcome.
just want to,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry? No, say.
Remember, this is the thing that Deborah was talking about.
Yes. The church, right? The church?
Yeah, the church.
Yeah, I remember. I remember across the street. Right.
Go on,
I
ma'am.
just, when we approved the go full-fledged school,
Right.
there was a lot of contingencies that were based on that application. And it never came through. The parking lot wasn't done,
Did we ever approve that expansion?
way back.
Oh, I thought that was tabled to infinity. I'm not sure. I understand what,
When it was here
okay.
first.
Okay,
the first
okay,
time.
okay.
From my
Ma'am?
understanding, the pastor met with zoning, and they are doing the parking. We had to restructure because of the parking. It couldn't be what, I don't know the name of the material, whatever. It's something that is done with gravel. It was because of the water problem in that area.
Right.
But they already went into the new material, and they are getting, and we're doing the same kind of material. So we already got a price quote, and they are gonna move for it.
Okay.
For the record, if we want to ask, for the record, if we want to ask Deborah any questions, her voice is not working on Zoom, so she has to respond by typing to us, which could be the most ponderous thing we can ever think of. But go ahead, if anybody,
she
just
looks
for the
really good
record.
with her background.
She looks great. She looks
Look
like
at how
she's
good
ready
she
to
looks.
answer questions.
Yeah, very nice.
Anything else from the?
Can you hear me?
Ma'am?
Can you hear me? Okay. They are using an alternative material. They are using some kind of grid with gravel that is less expensive than the asphalt. So the church will go ahead and will build a parking, and they also sent a site plan with parking that they will build on their property fronting West 58 Terrace. I think you got the copy of this.
We can see what
Yes.
this is, but yes, yes.
Okay, there's a lot of on-street parking there, but it doesn't belong to them. There are some properties across the street that residential properties that generate a lot of traffic. So what they're going to do is to build this new parking inside their property, because in the setback area they have room, so they will build it there.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you, Deborah.
We have a motion, but ma'am, you still have the floor if you need
Oh,
it.
no,
I'm just
I just-
reminding everybody where we're at. We have a
Fine.
motion from Councilman Rodriguez on PC1.
Through the chair.
Sir,
I'm sorry, Councilwoman, so what, do you have concerns on this?
Yes,
What, can you tell me?
the neighbors,
Okay.
that the school, they didn't want the school to begin with. They
Okay.
didn't do what they did, so they did tell me their concerns about that. I lived there for 30-something years.
What did they say they were gonna do?
They were gonna do a parking when we approved this for a full-fledged school, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was through 12th grade. I'm not mistaken. They were supposed to do parking. They have, it's a huge, huge property.
And they haven't
It's
done the
literally
parking?
from Palm to Second.
Yeah.
You know, and they didn't do the parking lot, so the neighbors are concerned. Okay, they said they're gonna do it again, that they have different materials that they agreed to, but, you know, that's what they said the first time around. And again, they have the space, they have the big school, you know, the school and everything else there.
All right,
And-
it was just for my knowledge.
Yeah,
So-
but that's my concern with that now.
Deborah, can you, and I'm sorry if you did, can you respond? Do you have a response to that?
Well, they say that because of COVID, they couldn't get it done, and then they went and looked for an alternative solution that is this cheaper way of doing it. And it's their word. It's not that I can guarantee that they're going to do it. The pastor spoke with me, and he said that they will do it. They will start it soon.
Yeah, if parking's an issue now, have you heard that traffic or, you know?
The traffic isn't an issue, it's just that they were supposed to do the parking. They have a huge area that's greenery. I mean, it's as large as a football field almost, maybe not as wide. But they do have the area for the parking. They do have a little bit of traffic in the afternoons when the, you know,
If I can
full blown.
respond, the church inside the property, they did like a dropping,
To drop
zone.
off the kids.
Drop off, okay.
Yeah,
Correct.
and I don't see any problems of traffic in the morning or in the afternoon there.
No, that's why I
mean,
was
this
saying
is
I
summer,
didn't think it was right. I
but
didn't think
there
so.
they did that as a solution, temporary solution until they could, and the pastor was here last time. I can attest that the church has suffered a lot with COVID, and
Agreed.
we depend on donations, and we didn't have the funds. So that's why we went for the alternative solution of this.
Okay.
I know that they requested a loan based on the property to do the parking lot and the renovation of the church. I do know that as far as the pastor told me.
Thank you.
And my area, the part of the adult daycare, we are going to start doing it as soon as it's approved.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, just, I echo what the councilwoman's saying. It's a big concern. We work with, you know, with different developers and other organizations all the time, right? And a lot of times is, you know, we have to depend and rely on your word. And so, and you know, when folks don't go through with their word, then it becomes a problem, right? And then moving forward, it's like, well, do we really trust them or not? And I think that's the situation here. Now, you guys went through some hardship, and that's something that we all understand, but that's where she's coming from. And I do tend to echo that sentiment. So,
Pastor is not feeling well tonight, so he couldn't make it, but I'm sure that I would relate all this to him, and that we have agreed, both of us, on going ahead and doing this.
through the chair.
Sir.
I,
Mhm.
I spent some time in the building and zoning, and I saw the presentation they did, whatever time that was, and, I mean, a lot of questions was asked. I was part of it. I know they were very, conscious of the parking and the presentation they did. He's not here to present it, but that's why I keep on saying motion, because I followed through the whole process. And I know Deborah really grilled them on this, so just FYI, right, Deborah?
Shaking her head.
Yes, sir.
So just a comment and the vision that he had.
I
I
remember.
don't remember the details of it, but it was pretty much professional.
Mhm.
That's it.
Okay.
We have a motion from Councilman Rodriguez.
And I'm sorry, is the school,
ahead.
through the chair, is the school growing? Did it stop at a certain grade level and then now it's extending to 12th, Deborah?
It's extending to 12th grade, but they are not getting that many students. So it's not that they grew.
The 12th grade was to complete the schooling for the, I'm sorry to interrupt, to complete the school for the ones that were already attending, to add the grade levels.
Yeah, that makes sense. So that's what you do with schools. You
Right.
start, younger and
Did you start off as a daycare? Were you a daycare first? Just out of curiosity.
No, they do have the daycare in the school before I came. I came like in
Yeah,
2014.
okay, okay, just curious. Thank you.
Pleasure of the council.
Second.
We have a second from Councilwoman Garcia Rovez. Call the roll.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casa Munoz,
No.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor,
No.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You're good to go. Wait a minute. Was
She
this on
got it.
first
They got
reading?
it.
Sorry.
It was second reading.
I don't
Second
wanna-
reading. Good luck. PZ 2. And I'm going to have to give up the gavel so I can take a quick personal break. And I've got Ms. Garcia Rovez or I've got Councilman Tundidor. Who wants to play rock,
Garcia
paper,
Rovez.
scissors?
Garcia
You
Rovez.
wanna? Okay, I'll be back as soon as I can. Here, don't hurt anybody with it. Thank you.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance granting a conditional use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-181, to allow a
Right,
10,000.
Through the chair, we don't have quorum.
You do.
Oh, we're four. Okay, I didn't count me. Go ahead. I didn't count me. I'm like, before walking out.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
To allow a 10,840 square foot expansion of the existing 36,950 square foot behavioral health hospital and increase the number of beds from 72 beds to 92 beds and allow 73 parking spaces where 115 parking spaces are required, contrary to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-2189, subsection 12, property located at 4225 West 20th Avenue, Hialeah, Zone C2, Liberal Commercial District, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Motion to approve.
But it's on second reading, so we have to
so
open it
go
for
ahead.
public comments.
Go ahead, you got it, you got it,
Alright.
you got it,
Are
Councilman.
you seriously recording?
No, I'm not, just go.
Okay.
Send it to
Good
your
for
mom.
you. Okay, so it's on second reading. We have to open it for public comments. There's none. Anybody from the dais?
No, I'm good. Councilman, you?
I'm good.
I think we're good.
Okay, so we have a motion by Ms. Casales Munoz
Second?
and a second from Councilman Tundidor. Please call the roll.
Ms. Casa Munoz,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Tundidor,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
He stepped away.
He's also away.
No.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Congratulations.
PZ3.
Wow.
Second
Let's
reading
go.
and public hearing of proposed ordinance granting a variance permit to allow the replatting of the property into two substandard lots. Lot 1 having a frontage of 40.01 feet and total lot area of 5,399.87 square feet, where 75 feet frontage and 7,500 square feet are required. And Lot 2 having a frontage of 40.01 feet and total lot area of 5,399.91 square feet, or 75 feet frontage and 7,500 square feet are required. And once platted, allow the construction of a single-family house on each platted substandard lot. All contrary to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-499. Property located at 1140 West 32nd Street, Hialeah, zoned R1, one family district. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
So it's also on second reading. So any public comments or any from the dais? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second from anybody? So we have a motion from Councilmember Casales Munoz and a second from Councilman Rodriguez. Please call the roll.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez? Mr. Tonidor?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you very much.
Okay, PZ4.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance granting a special use permit to allow the expansion of the neighborhood business district overlay for the development of a 27-unit multifamily building pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-1630.8, granting a variance permit to allow only residential uses where mixed use is required, allow residential use on the ground floor where residential use is allowed above ground floor level only, allow 18 residential units with an area of 595 square feet, where 850 square feet is the minimum required, and only 10% of the units may have an area of 600 square feet. Allow 7 feet front setback on East 7th Avenue for encroachment of balconies above the ground floor, where 10 feet built to line are required. Allow 32 parking spaces where 61 parking spaces are required, and allow 29.6% pervious area, where 30% is the minimum required. All contrary to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Sections 98-1630.1, 98-1630.2, 98-1630.3, subsection E1, 98-2189, subsection 16A, and 98-2056, subsection B1. Property located at 40 East 10th Avenue, Hialeah, zoned C2, Liberal Retail Commercial District. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
I wasn't here for the whole, can you read it again? No, I'm just kidding. Are we on PZ4? Is that where we're at?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Am I missing any votes? Go ahead, take my vote.
Yes, sir. Your vote on item PZ2, please.
Yes.
And your vote on item PZ3, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
PZ4 is on second reading and open for public discussion. Anybody online or in the public, certainly open for our discussion or any presentation, will of the council. Motion from Councilman Rodriguez,
Second.
second from Councilwoman Garcia Robes. Please call the roll.
Mr. Rodriguez? Mr. Tonidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
PZ5, please read into the record.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance rezoning property from R1, one family district, to TOD, transit-oriented development, property located at 922 East 26th Street, Hialeah, zoned R1, one family district, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Wow, this is the big one. This is Metro Park, right? This is Metro Park. All right, don't get excited. I haven't called you up yet. Just stand by. All right. PZ5 is on second reading, open for public discussion. Pleasure of the council.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion from Councilman Casal Munoz, second from Councilman Tundidor. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Tonidor? Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez. Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. Mr. Diaz, is that you?
That is me.
Thank you. Did you have anything you wanted to say? Don't oversell it. We approved it
Thank you very
already.
much.
Good luck. This is a great project. Good luck, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. Before we go to PZ6, I just want to acknowledge the presence of our state representative, Alex Rizzo. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I'm sorry. Sorry it took so long. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming. PZ6, please read it into the record.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance rezoning property from R1, one family district, and RO, residential office, to B1, highly restricted retail district, granting a variance permit to allow front setback of 10 feet where 20 feet are required, contrary to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-929, property located at 4915 East Palm Court, 4935 East Palm Court, 4910 East First Avenue, and 4930 East First Avenue, Hialeah, zoned R1, one family district, and RO, residential office, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. PZ6 is on second reading, open for public discussion. I don't think we have a rep here, right? This is Mrs. Stork. Is this Dr. Dieguez?
Yes.
Yeah, the renowned cardiologist. Okay, on second reading. Pleasure of the council.
Motion.
Motion from Councilwoman Garcia Robes.
Second.
Second from Councilman Rodriguez. Please call the roll.
Mr. Tumidor, Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez. Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. PZ7, please.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance rezoning property from R3 multiple family district to R35 multiple family district, granting a variance permit to allow a front setback of 11.4 feet where 25 feet are required. Allow east and west interior side setbacks of 7 feet where 10 feet are required. Allow a rear setback of 10.6 feet where 20 feet are required. Allow lot coverage of 34.5% where 30% is the maximum allowed. And allow 22.3% pervious area where 30% pervious area is the minimum required. All contrary to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Sections 98-589, 98-590, 98-591, and 98-2056, subsections B1 and B2. Properties located at 61, 63, 75, and 77 West 31st Street, Hialeah, zoned R3, multiple family district, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. We have someone from Cesar Mestre's office on PZ7 in case we need her, right?
Yes, correct.
We're no fools. We know you're not Cesar. Okay. Are you Cesar's daughter?
No, I'm his assistant.
Who said daughter? You threw me off. Okay. PZ, stand by in case anybody needs you. PZ7 is on second reading, open for public discussion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Casals Munoz.
Second.
Second from Councilwoman Garcia Robes. Please call the roll.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes?
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Tunidor.
Yes.
Jackie.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. Say hi to Dad.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You're very welcome.
I go, you are.
PZ8, it's your turn, Manny. Okay, please read PZ8 into the record.
First reading of proposed ordinance rezoning property from R1, one family district to R33, multiple family district, granting a variance permit to allow residential use on the ground floor where residential use is allowed above ground floor level. Allow street side setback of 13.6 feet where 15 feet are required. Allow 40 parking spaces where 45 parking spaces are required. And allow 8 feet high prefabricated concrete wall where 6 feet is the maximum height allowed. Along rear
Bueno, yo
lot
veo mi
line.
nombre aquí, Mary Jane, lo veo.
All contrary to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Sections 98-1630.2, 98-1630.3, subsection E2, and 98-2189, subsection 16A, and contrary to the latest edition of the City of Hialeah Landscape Manual dated July 9th, 2015, paragraph D, subsection 6. Property located at 840 and 860 Southeast 8th Avenue, Hialeah, zoned R1, one family district, located within area of NBD Neighborhood Business District, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. PZ8 is on first reading, not open for public discussion, certainly open for our discussion in the dais or any questions for the architect, Manny
To the chair.
Ruiz. Sir, you are recognized.
Can you give me an overview of the project, please?
Yes, sure. This is a three-story, 20-unit, beautiful building that we're doing on Lejeune Road, that it's composed of four two-bedroom units, 2 studios, and the balance is 1-bedroom units. And we're basically creating a modern-style building with the balconies fronting, of course, Lejeune Road, and then a unique part of this project is also that we have internal accessory uses for the building rather than having retail or anything. It's just basically for gyms and whatever to be used within the building. And we're very confident and proud to be working with Deborah, of course, in conjunction with our firm to create something spectacular along Lejeune Road, which will generate future projects of similar design.
My question, is that vacant parcel there on Lejeune? Okay.
Yes, sir.
And as far as, because I know you're going up to 3 stories.
Yes.
Obviously, I think right behind is single-family homes.
Yes.
So what will be the view, I guess,
The
into
view,
those
the
backyards?
view is basically, it's an access point for the units. There are no balconies to the back. So you basically go up the stairs and you go into your unit. So of course, the majority of the views are towards Lejeune Road.
Got it.
Very unique building, very different building. The majority of the units are 1-bedroom, generating minimal parking requirements, but we do have 40 or more parking spaces.
This went down from the original density.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
we're
sorry.
down to
You still have the
20
floor, Councilman. Thank you, Manny.
No, I'm all right. Thank you.
Is that a motion before I take any other comments? Not yet? Go ahead.
I have a motion. He has a question.
You are recognized, sir.
So, because I don't think, what was the original amount of units, Manny?
I believe it was either 24 or 26 units. I don't remember because we're not the original architects. We took over and created something spectacular for the area. So I don't remember exactly, but I definitely was over 20 units.
Okay. Actually, okay. All right.
Through the chair,
Sir?
Deborah,
Yes.
how was I know I was part of I'm aware of the other construction, or the other proposal was before it was denied. What was the public talk about, or any voice of the concerns of the residents in that area?
Well, they were concerned about the privacy of their homes. So when they came for the land use amendment, they were restricted to no more than 20 units and no more than 3 stories. And I worked with the architect and the developer, and they came up with this design. If you look at the back where the corridor is, the height of that railing is 5 feet. So you won't be able to look at the properties. It's not a balcony where you can recline and smoke a cigarette. It is, you have a parapet and then you have a railing that is just a place to go into the buildings. And having the building pushed to the front gives more distance between the building and the parking lot. And they are also building a higher wall, I think, no? Yes, and they are requesting an 8 feet high wall. 6 feet is the maximum allowed, and they will build it higher to provide more privacy.
I mean, we're changing the whole look of the area here with this, right?
Yes.
We're changing from residential area completely to, and the other lot can go like, in other words, we have a potential here, apartments, a bunch of apartments going here, and the other side too.
Well, this was designated as MBD because no one wants to have a home facing Lejeune Road. So this was one of the corridors originally designated as MBD.
Through the chair.
Sir.
What's the, I guess the closest apartment building? Wow, I sound very loud. What's the closest apartment building to this project currently?
They are across the street, the south of Southeast 8th Street. They will be built. They are building. You approved some 3-story apartment buildings.
Across the street. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, on the east side of Lejeune there. Mhm.
Yes.
On this side of Lejeune.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, still has the.
Deborah, through the chair.
Sir?
Deborah, and so what, they're asking for 20 units?
Yes, we when you approve the land use, there was declaration of restrictions, and they were limited to 20 units and 3 stories, and they are complying with that.
It's, Deborah, this is at the low end of medium density, right? For that piece of property?
Well, let me make the calculation.
Okay.
Well, no, because they added the NBD on it.
Yeah, this is the
Which
NBD.
allowed them to,
More,
okay.
yeah.
But they're still at the low end for the piece, for the space?
Let me see. 0.47 acres. Let me make the
Oh, half
calculation.
an acre, okay. Mhm. Yeah.
Through the chair?
Yes,
While
sir.
we wait for Deborah
Yes,
to
sir.
come, I struggle with these, right? Just because we've always said it from the beginning, what type of precedents do we want to set? And I think we also have to in mind that it's a reality that whatever happens with this lot, the fellow up north is going to follow suit, just how Councilman Rodriguez was stating. However, I do agree that on Lejeune there, it's going to be very difficult to have someone come in and build single family home. I mean, it's I personally wouldn't want a single family home right on Lejeune. We've always said that these main avenues function as a buffer, right, between the higher density or whatnot. But what I struggle with is that we need to be realistic here and understand what comes after this, right? And we're talking, your clients don't own the property up north, right?
No.
Through the chair, yeah.
Sir. Mhm.
I'm struggling too with it, but I do understand, and sorry, May. I'm struggling with it because we can change it, but at the same time, the traffic's gonna be, 20 apartments are gonna come up. I mean, I'm struggling right now with this. I mean, the other options we have is to do duplexes there, or just.
They are building at 40 units per acre, and the MBD allows 70 units per acre. I don't think they will add too much trips to the traffic because the traffic is already there on Lejeune Road. 20 units do not add more traffic. Single family homes add more traffic than multifamily homes.
Mhm.
And at the same time, we haven't seen new construction there in a long time, and the homes look the same, so.
You will have on the east side, and also this is close to the market station, where you will see at the next meeting that some new construction is coming. This is not a high rise, it's only 3 stories. You can build a single family house with two stories and a half, that is almost is.
And I remember the comment of the neighbors saying about the pool and stuff like that, and I guess
That's what I was
the
gonna say.
resolution that we don't have the balcony. Okay, I'm a motion. Sorry.
We have a motion from Councilman Rodriguez, barring any other comments. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilwoman Casal Munoz. Please call the roll.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Tunidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for June 28th, 2022.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you in 2 weeks, sir.
Through the chair,
Yes, ma'am.
Manny, has any of the neighbors come in and spoken to you about this project specifically? I know in the past they have. Okay.
Manny, did someone come to the planning and zoning board meeting? Okay.
With the pool?
How did
Yeah.
that go?
Yeah.
I think we're trying to do the best that we can for the city, especially with our modern designs and with the consent of Deborah. So we wouldn't want to design or build anything that is not proper within the special corridor like Lejeune Road.
So what did he say after you gave him the solution about putting the balconies towards?
He didn't address,
No?
he didn't make any sense on his address. So we didn't get, he just got up here and started doing whatever, and we didn't get a chance to respond. He just walked out.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Manny.
Thank you.
PZ9, please.
First reading of proposed ordinance granting a variance permit to allow 17 parking spaces where 25 parking spaces are required and allow a 1.64-foot landscape buffer for a distance of 90 feet facing west 19th Court, where a 7-foot landscape buffer is required for a property to be developed as a fast food restaurant on an out parcel. All contra to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-2189, subsection 7, and contra to the latest edition of the City of Hialeah Landscape Manual dated July 9th, 2015, paragraph D, subsection 7. Property located at 1950 West 49th Street, Hialeah, Zone C3, Extended Liberal Commercial District, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Oh, you're bringing a Panera, aren't you? Thank you. First reading on PZ9, not open for public discussion, but certainly open for our discussion or from Alex Aria to answer any questions. Pleasure of the council. PZ9. Panera, everyone. Panera. We don't have one. We don't have one.
What-
Okay, okay.
Are you gonna? through the chair-
Okay. No, but I'm hungry.
That's what I was gonna say.
Through the chair.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yes, sir. You're
Sorry.
recognized.
Hey, the Panera, I'm sorry, Alex, where is this at?
So this is at 1950 West 49th Street.
West 49,
It's
okay.
the,
Oh,
actually
it's,
have a very brief presentation. They have a beautiful concept. This is the next gen. So
No, I
if
think
you
we
would
got-
at
I
least
mean, I
like
think
to
we
see the
got-
pictures, I think it's worth it.
Panera
It's a
people.
very nice design.
just real quick, before we get into that, is it, you're just asking for the parking variance?
It's just a parking variance for this 0.45 acre out parcel of the overall site. If you remember, this is Altour Westland. It's that multifamily project that was approved, the adaptive reuse of the Ramada Inn.
Yeah.
And they changed it to a product that's coming online,
Yeah.
hopefully within this month. And that has multifamily units, retail, and then that out parcel. That's where the Panera is going to go, right at that point.
That's great, that's great. We go to the one on 57th and,
See?
and Miami Gardens
See?
Drive, so,
You see?
they got the tomato biz soup, yeah. it's
You
pretty good.
see?
They are also asking for landscape buffer variance.
And that's because we're
Yes.
pushing up the building. We're trying to create that urban atmosphere. So we're
Yeah.
pushing up the building closer.
Well, I am requesting bollards because the parking
Safety
will
barrier.
then be too close to the sidewalk. So they agreed to put bollards.
Okay.
They
Okay.
agreed to put
Okay.
bollards.
Have they agreed on that, Deborah?
Yes, can you confirm, Alex?
Yes. So since the P and Z hearing, we spoke with the architects and they're fine with having the ball.
Perfect.
We have a motion from
Second.
Councilman Casals Munoz, right?
Yes.
And we have a second from Councilman Tundidor. Call the roll, please.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for June 28th, 2022.
Very
Thank
much.
you,
Have a good
Alex.
night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Remember, give them a hard time with the Cuban coffee. They gotta go
Yeah,
get it.
man.
Yeah, because you can't drink
Panera
Cuban
people.
coffee anywhere else in Hialeah. No.
All right. PC 10.
Yes, sir.
First reading of proposed ordinance granting a variance permit to allow the property to be developed as the corporate headquarters of La Colonia Medical Center, an interior east side setback of 2.83 feet and an interior west side setback of 5.2 feet, where 10 feet are required. Allow a front side setback of 3.66 feet for a building that is 35 feet in height and higher, where 12 feet are required along East Third Street, and allow pervious area of 10.40%, where 20% pervious area is the minimum required. All contrary to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, sections 98-976 subsection 1 and 98-976 subsection 2A. And contrary to the latest edition of the City of Hialeah Landscape Manual dated July 9, 2015, paragraph E, table A. Property located at 158 East Third Street, Hialeah, zoned CBD, Central Business District, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. PC 10 is on first reading, not open for public discussion, but certainly open for our discussion or our pleasure. PC 10.
Through the chair.
Sir,
Is the applicant on?
good question. Do we have anybody from La Colonia?
The architect is there, Emilio Grenot.
Yeah. Okay. Is he on?
Yeah.
I see his.
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead, the councilman.
Emilio, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. Emilio, are you looking for any parking variances?
No, not at this time. We're not. We have sufficient parking spaces.
Okay.
Good. Sir, is that a motion?
That
Is
is, I'm done. I don't know. Does anyone else
Okay,
have
all right.
a comment?
Anybody have a comment?
Councilwoman?
Councilwoman?
No, I'm good.
No?
All right,
I'm
motion.
Sure. Motion from Councilman Tundidor,
Second.
second from Councilwoman Garcia Rovez. Please call the roll.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Tundidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zagbi,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casa Munoz.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for June 28th, 2022.
Thank you. Do I have a unanimous motion to adjourn the June 14th, 2022 Hialeah Council meeting?
Thank you.
Meeting is